Chapter 3: When Darkness Unfolds. The silence inside the Astralis felt like death hanging over them. Amanda and Kurt locked themselves in their seats, breathing heavily, the shock still palpable in the thin, sterile air of the ship. The gigantic creature, impossibly vast and formless, drifted through the debris field that had once been their home. It lashed at the moon, splitting it into large, dusty chunks. Then, seemingly reveling in its newfound freedom as it suddenly turned its attention back to them. Amanda's hands were sweaty on the controls, despite the icy chill that permeated the cabin. The creature wasn't just a physical presence, it was something far worse. It had a will, an intelligence that now seemed bent on their destruction. Kurt, trying to compose himself to be more useful in his seat beside Amanda, struggled to catch his breath. It's coming back, he stammered, eyes wide with terror. Amanda didn't answer. She was too focused, her thoughts racing as she pushed the Astralis to its limits. The engines rattled the cabin as the thrusters pushed the craft faster and faster, propelling them forward through the emptiness of space and away from the creature. They flew toward the remains of the moon, hoping the jagged lunar debris would offer some temporary shelter or at least slow the creature's approach. Behind them, the creature's form rippled, tendrils of darkness unfurling from its core like the fingers of a deformed hand, stretching impossibly far. They reached out, not bound by distance or time, as if the creature was toying with them, letting them think they had a chance. The alarms continued to blare, their shrill wail cutting through Amanda's concentration. The sensors flashed red, warning of the creature's rapid advance. "Amanda, look at it!" Kurt shouted, his voice soaked in disbelief. Amanda risked a glance at the outside monitors, her breath rapid. The creature's tendrils had nearly closed the distance, moving faster than should be possible for something so massive. The moon's jagged remnants, sharp shards of rock and craters, became their playground as Amanda swerved the Astralis around the debris, trying to lose their pursuer. But the creature adapted, flowing effortlessly through the obstacles, breaking apart rocks the size of mountains without slowing down. "I can't shake it," Amanda said, regaining her balance after being jostled from the constant jolt of the ship maneuvering at breakneck speeds. A tendril lashed out, narrowly missing the ship. The energy wave it generated rattled the Astralis, making the hull shudder violently. Sparks shot from one of the panels above them, and the lights flickered as the ship's system struggled to compensate. Amanda's mind desperately tried to focus itself. They had minutes, maybe seconds, before the creature caught up to them. "I've rerouted every possible amount of power to the main thrusters," Kurt said, his voice barely steady. "It'll push the ship beyond its normal limits, but it won't last long." Amanda slammed her hand down on the throttle, pushing the Astralis into overdrive. The ship lurched forward, the engines screaming as they surged ahead. They darted through the remnants of the moon, threading between jagged rocks and massive craters, each evasive maneuver pushing them past the brink of disaster. And then, just as she thought they gained a slight lead, one of the tendrils lashed out and clipped the Astralis. The ship jerked violently, the hull vibrating under the impact. Warning lights flashed, and a deep rumble shook through the ship as systems began to fail. Kurt shouted, "The engines can't take much more!" Amanda fought to maintain control as the ship wobbled, trailing slightly to one side. The thrusters struggled, sputtering as the creature's tendril retracted, its massive form looming behind them once again. "We can't outrun it," she hissed through gritted teeth. For a brief moment, Amanda's mind went blank as the ship's alarm blared and the creature closed in. A single desperate plan began to take shape in her mind. "We go dark," Amanda said, her voice low but resolute. "What?" Kurt stared at her like she had lost her mind. "We cut power," she said more firmly. "We let the Astralis drift. Maybe, just maybe, it'll lose interest or something." Kurt looked from her to the display screen where the creature loomed, tendrils swirling with unholy grace. It wasn't a good plan. Heck, it was barely a plan, but they had no other options. He nodded grimly. "Okay, let's do it." Amanda shifted from fleeing at all costs to essentially playing dead, shutting down non-essential systems and diverting the last bit of power from propulsion before cutting everything off. The lights inside the Astralis flickered out, leaving them in darkness. The ship's engines died with a soft, echoing hum, and the only sound left was the faint crack of the ship's frame as it adjusted to the sudden lack of thrust. So, they drifted. In the rear display, the creature's massive form seemed to pause. Its tendrils stopped advancing, hanging in the void like black skeletal fingers. For a moment, it felt as though the creature was deciding whether to finish the pursuit off or let them go. Then, slowly, the tendrils began to retract, folding back into the creature's vast, incomprehensible body. Amanda let out a long, shaky breath, her heart pounding in her ears. It was working. The creature was leaving. She glanced over at Kurt, who sat frozen in his seat, still reeling from disbelief. Is it really leaving?" he whispered. Amanda didn't dare move. She kept her eyes on the display as the creature drifted back, shrinking into the distance, its black mass dissolving into the void. It seemed for now that they had escaped. Somehow, Amanda doubted that it was over. The creature had let them go, but not because it had given up. No, it had something else in mind. They were still alive because, for whatever reason, the creature wanted them to be. That terrified her more than anything. As they thoroughly checked to see that the creature had abandoned them, Amanda carefully turned all systems online again. All systems online. Ship damage detected. Repairs suggested. Estimated time to automated ship repair completion, 1 month, 14 days, 3 hours, and 11 minutes. Cryostasis suggested while repairs are accomplished. "We need to go into cryo," Amanda said. "The ship's damaged, and we need time to recuperate. If we're going to survive out here, we need to conserve everything we have left." She paused. "Besides, if I'm gonna die, I want to do it in my sleep." A nervous laugh fell out of Kurt, his face pale but resolute. "Cryo? Yeah, I'd really like to be unconscious for a while after all that." They both rose from their seats, weary as if they had just run the marathon of a lifetime. They moved through the dimly lit corridors of the ship toward the cryogenic chamber. The hull breathed around them, the ship barely holding itself together after the chase. Amanda glanced at the walls, seeing the dark streaks of dented metal where the creature's tendrils had made contact. The cryopods loomed ahead, sleek and cold. Their metal frames encased a glass shield with dangling wires and breathing tubes inside. They were their last refuge, a way to preserve themselves while the ship's automated systems worked to repair the damage. Amanda climbed into her pod, her movements mechanical, her mind still replaying the events of the past hours. All she could think about was what they had just been through. She strapped herself in and adjusted the settings for a month-long sleep. Across from her, Kurt was doing the same, his expression tired but determined. "See you when we wake up," he said, off to sleep with a weak and not very convincing smile. Amanda nodded, hopefully to a better situation. The lids of the cryopods began to close, sealing them in with a soft hiss. The cold wash of cryogenic fluid filled the chamber, and Amanda felt her body begin to relax. Her vision blurred, and the sounds of the ship faded into the distance as the sleep took hold. But neither of them noticed the tiny, nearly invisible speck of the creature that had clung to the ship's hull. While the rest of the creature's offspring was jettisoned with the escape pod, this small fragment remained behind, hidden, undetected. It slipped aboard through a microscopic hole in the thrusters, worming its way through the sterile metal, slowly finding its way into Amanda's cryopod. There it settled, growing, learning, and quietly reaching out, calling home to itself. For now, the Astralis drifted, repairs being made as the crew slept.